Welcome to Athlete Things Podcast, episode 8. Today, joining us, we've got 8-time national champion, 4-time Oceania
Oh,
champion,
shit.
1-time Commonwealth champion, 2-time world champion, #1 silver medal overall, 1-time bronze medal overall, our first Australian to get a 500 Wilks, first female Australian to squat triple times body weight, and 6-time world record holder in the squat, deadlift, and total, Liz Craven. Welcome.
Hi.
Let's go.
I feel like you should always be walking in front of me saying those things.
It's probably the most extensive resume we've got in Australian powerlifting. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you. And I just started in my garage, just not doing much, just trying to get strong after having a baby. So you just never know what can happen if you get obsessed.
Get obsessed and don't stop, right?
Never stop. Always I'm obsessive about finishing my program and everything. I will be doing it at 10 o'clock at night if I have to, just because I cannot sleep if it's not done. And I've always been like that. It's not always good.
It's not good, but I'm the same. I remember some demon hour sessions back in a while ago that I just, I got home from somewhere and just had to get it done. I've been saying, if you can't, it's fucking hard.
Yeah. Megan, do you remember Megan Hinchley?
Yeah, I remember Megan.
She and I had brutal sessions where we were in pain, walking around. By the end, we couldn't talk to each other. We're in so much pain, but we just got every last thing done. And then we came back the next day.
Yeah, for years.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I don't recommend that. Sorry, carry on.
How have things been since Open Nationals?
Well, this year I've had a few things happening. So my recovery is not great, which is I'm finding quite frustrating. But I have to just tweak a few things. I think I'm going to have to go back to RPE mostly, just so I can try and build some momentum, because it's a bit frustrating trying to hit numbers, and as I said, I'll pretty much kill myself to get those numbers, and then the recovery isn't there right now. So you've got to acknowledge that. I hate acknowledging that, but I've got to acknowledge that and maybe start all RPE again.
Yeah. Is this in regards to what you've had before? Because even coming into Nats, you had, gamma knife surgery, things that you've posted around that. You've had your bicep. Is that still something that you're looking after now, post Nats?
My biceps tendon is taking it's weaker than the other one, but it's not affecting my lifting. It's more, I'd say the gamma knife is affecting my recovery because there's so much inflammation. So I'm waiting for that to come down. It's coming down. So the actual tumor has halved in dense mass, but the inflammation has grown. So the body's just trying to adjust, but I really don't like that. I just want to train.
Can imagine.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I'm lucky I still can, because it's meant to affect your balance and your vision a lot, but I've squatted for so many years, I can just still do it,
Do it blindfolded.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
You posted the other day with that bench that you were seeing double vision, I think you said. Yeah. Is that stuff that's happening pretty common, or is it just out of nowhere you'll just get something like that pop up?
So often when I bench now, I can see 4 bars. So what I've started doing is just trying to feel it, and I look at the ceiling rather than the bars, because you just got to adapt. Everything, it could be my vision, could be some niggle that you have. You've got to find a way around it. So I want to keep benching, so I'll find another way to do it.
Always got to find a way to keep lifting, right?
Yeah. And I'm not in pain anyway, so that's good.
Yeah. We've seen you lift through a lot of adversity, right? You were competing at Nats, not at your very best, and you still ended up, coming first in your weight class, still second overall. How did this compared to other types of adversity that you've gone throughout your whole lifting career?
This was the worst, I'd say, because 2 weeks out, I wanted to pull out because my lifting was so shit. I was like, I'm an amateur. I can't go there and embarrass myself like this. But then everyone was like, no, just go. You can win. Because the difference with me being in 52s and 57s is if I wanted to win 52s, all I have to do is make weight and get my openers. You know what I mean? 57s, I have to actually work a little bit, which was good for me. I enjoyed that. So 2 weeks out, I was like, I'm not going to be able to do anything. Everyone's going to laugh at me. And but as soon as I was there, I actually did way better than I expected. Because as soon as I was there, I've competed over 60 times. So I went back into my mindset, and I was on. Like, I was anything that I knew, everything that was put on the bar I'd get, and I knew what to do. I saw the bench calls. I dropped my opener, or I didn't do as big a jump. I went, I will get 9 from 9. It's cool. And I don't think I got any red lights. Like, so that was good.
I think
I was happy with my deadlift. Carry on.
No, I just remember seeing your post because you competed before me. I think you did like a little recap, or before you competed, saying nothing really matters apart from the fact that if you just do your best. And I think that really kind of struck out to me when you said that, like, you can't control, what the day is going to be like with the refs or anything. As long as you fucking get up there and push
job.
up and do your best that you can, then that's all that matters. I think that was a really good way to look at that and see you have that mindset after all that you went through into that competition. So that was sick to see that.
Yeah, because as athletes, like, we've got to do our job. We've got to give the refs no doubt. We've got to do everything in our power to get all those white lights. And that's our job. It's not just to move weight. It's to, give them no doubt. And I guess I've created, like, I've bombed comps before. So I've learned over years what I need to do. And then that's what I do. That's what I practice. And sometimes sometimes your hips are tight or something and you do some squats. And you're like, that's not good enough. Got to do something about it. But do it in training. Don't try and do something on the platform.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
for you were injured. It's actually so hard when you're in pain to even feel what you're doing properly, because your body will try and save you.
Yeah, there was a lot of conversation happening with me that I couldn't help, but it is what it is. In hindsight, like, looking back, I could have not pushed my prep and still got the same result that I got, which I wasn't happy with. But either way, I would have walked away not happy. So from a mental,
you always want to go. Yeah, carry on.
From a mental aspect for me, I'm glad that I can still push through anything, pain-wise. Like, I know that I still want it that bad. But like, looking back at my performance, I could have been a bit smarter in training and done some things to still get the same outcome. But I would have got the same outcome, and I wouldn't have really learnt anything about myself and still realize that I'm still there, right? Like, still willing to do whatever it is possible to get there.
Yeah, that's not your identity. Like, you don't play it safe. You go all in. And if you had to play it safe, that would have made you question yourself, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
am 100%. I still that guy?
And I actually said that to myself before my last heavy squat, like, because I was in a lot of pain that day. Sam was there. There's a few people there, and I remember I put it on the bar, and like, I couldn't, like, complete transparency, I couldn't even get 3/4 of the way down. Like, it was like a high box squat.
Literally did 260 to about a quarter depth, and then loaded the next one up.
And then I went up, and then I like just talked to myself and said, like, you're still that guy, like, that bench till his arm broke, that's done this, competed through this, done that, like, you're still him. And then I just went, fuck it, and if whatever happens under the barbell happens. And
because a lot of people say, that's not smart, but look how far it's gotten us. I train through anything. Exactly. You can't I remember when I was doing all the RP8s and everyone was like, oh, Liz is overshooting. Yet I broke 5 fucking world records. So get back in your box. You know what I mean? I was the best.
Yeah, there she
They were
is.
all. It was killing me. But anyway, and everyone had an opinion because I was listening to your other podcast about James and you're saying how the program made no sense. Like my program made absolutely no sense. Everyone was like, this is ridiculous, but it worked. So it made sense, you know. It's got to suit your personality as well.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Yeah.
It's you know, if someone wants to push, like as coaches, like we're all coaches here as well, then we kind of have a little bit of freedom with the athlete, and then you know we will start to understand and realize how hard someone's willing to train and how bad they actually want it, just by giving them freedom. I think via RPE, right? Like RPE is one of the easiest way to give someone a little bit of freedom, and you can really learn a lot about someone that way.
Yeah, exactly. I'd die. Like if I had just RPE 7 all the time, I'd be like, what's the point? I'm going to start knitting, you know?
Oh yeah, you just RPE 7 just gets harder.
Yeah.
We hit those slow 7s.
Yeah.
You push hard.
I mean, I probably was, to be honest, I probably was overshooting, but I could handle it back then. We'll see. You know, this year I haven't had much momentum because something keeps happening, but next year nothing's going to happen, all right? And I'm going to get momentum. And then we'll see what I can do. Maybe I can give Vicky a run for her money. That'll be good.
Resiliency.
Yeah.
I think that's a common trait between, like, especially like you two. I've seen both you guys pushing so hard for so long as well, right? Before we started this podcast, we were talking about how long you've been going at it and how you've seen people drop off as well. What kind of motivates you to keep going? Because you've seen people come and go, but you're here still pushing, even through adversity. You know, you've gone through multiple surgeries, let alone aside like just training injuries that everyone goes through, right? What motivates you to keep going?
One of the main motivators is I really enjoy being good at something. Like I love that. How good is that feeling when you fucking nail that squat and you're like, I just made that it look easy. But but I love lifting. I like being strong, and I've never lose hope. Like I still believe I can get better. So there's many things that I've let slide over the last 2 years with COVID, like too much wine, you know, I've let all kinds of things. But not enough sleep. My business is going really well, so that takes a bit of pressure, or puts a bit of pressure on me. But there's things I can fix for Malta. I could, you know, cut the alcohol, fix my nutrition, get my sleep back in order, which I'm doing slowly. And then we'll see when that momentum hits. No more surgery. That'd be good.
Yeah,
you know,
we're trying to get that.
And the surgery, like I've shown that to me, the surgery is not an excuse because I had a high level before that and I'm not back up to that level. So really people should have beaten me this year. I'm almost 50, you know, I've had 2 surgeries. People need to work harder.
It's inspirational, really, what you've done. And, you know, you're like an ambassador, you're the leader of the sport really in Australia. For a long time. Like I remember you handled me at my first nationals, and I was starstruck then. I was like, "Fuck, Liz is handling me. This is random. That's my first nationals." Yeah. And then like coming now, and you're still around, right? Hey,
that was at the expo.
Yeah, in Melbourne.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and you won.
You're much littler.
Yeah, same weight class.
Yeah, you filled it out now, right? Stephen. Huh?
Yeah, like you've hung around, I've hung around. But you were already there. But we just keep going. That's the good thing about powerlifting, I think, is that all it takes is you to keep going and being able to train at this high level for a long period. Yeah,
and have like genetics are important, yes, but my genetics are not perfect for powerlifting. But my mindset is, I think.
Yeah.
You know, but I never played sport when I was young. I had no idea how to compete in anything. I had to learn. So I remember I was really bad at competing. I'd walk out, my knees would shake. and I never got my third squat. So I spent 2 years where I did 6 or 7 comps a year, where all I did, I wasn't even peaking. All I did was practice competing until I started getting better. And I started getting my third squats because I started telling myself I was going to. And from then on, you know, you build a habit, you learn what you need to do. I like hype. I was listening to James, he's very cruisy.
Oh yeah,
He's you know,
he's
Kelly Clark, Kelly Thor, what's her last name now?
I know who took 76, 69.
Yeah, yep. She's been around forever. She and I did our first comps together.
Yeah, she has been around for a very long time as well.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who else. Like that's the thing, right? Like if we look back at your first Worlds, do you remember who was on the team back then? Was your first Worlds, I think South Africa?
Yeah, that was the first like proper Worlds. That I was at one of the original ones, which is in Russia, and that was Colin Webb, JP won. Yeah, other people you would know, like Kelly Clark was there, I'm pretty sure. And I had to talk myself onto the team because I was such a crap lifter back then. I squatted 100 kilos, I think.
It's got the experience part, right?
You know, that's where the Russian coach told me if he coached me, I'd be one of the best lifters in the world. And that's when I went, all right, I'm going to do this then.
It's reassuring when someone says that to you, right? At such a young age, they have that, they back you, right? And say, I can make you one of the best, or I believe that you can be one of the best. And even if you don't join them to let them coach you or something, you still keep that comment, right? All the time.
In your head. Yeah.
If someone believes that I can be the best, then I'm going to believe in it as well.
And that's the one thing that injury does, is it can steal that belief a little bit, but you've just got to keep reminding yourself that you've been through it, you know, and you can get back to where you were. Do you ever feel like that? Or you wouldn't right now? Yeah.
Injuries, sure. You forget what you've done sometimes, I think.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be, we can't get back there, or we can't do this, we can't do that, or am I still, the same person like I said earlier? But I'm more resilient to that feeling now, whereas I'm just like, oh, it's part of the process, right? Like it just happens. It's unavoidable. But that took a long time.
Yeah, it does, because you don't trust your body as much, and if you don't trust your body, then before you go into the abyss of that squat, it's like, fuck, what? I could die.
Yeah. I think the big one for me was coming back from breaking my arm, because it was so traumatic and such a big injury that it was like, I can get through anything now. I don't really care.
Was that extremely painful when you did that?
Yeah. My arm was in half. Yeah, it hurt a lot.
I think you've sent me the video of that. That was not good.
Yeah, that the week of after I broke my arm before I got surgery, so I think it was like 5 days in between, was the worst 5 days of my life.
You wouldn't have been able to sleep.
Nah, didn't sleep. Could feel the bones rubbing together in my arm.
Oh, that's disgusting.
And I got surgery and went to the gym fucking 2 days after.
Yeah.
Like the day after, as soon as I got out of hospital.
Yeah, because you're like, otherwise I'm losing time.
Yeah,
someone could be beating me right now.
Yeah,
see, look what happened in 2 years. All those French girls, they're now kicking my butt. Like I'm gonna have to pull something big together at Worlds if I want to get on the podium.
Have you started thinking about Worlds?
Beg your pardon?
You go, Steve.
Who have we got in 57s at Worlds?
Oh, 57s.
Are you going to do 57s or 52s, or is that up to you?
It's not up to me. I've put in, I'd said I'd like to be able to go to 52 if possible, because that's where I'm most competitive.
Yep.
57s I can. We've got Joy Namani, who is always, I used to beat her in 52s, but she would beat me in 57s because she's got a massive deadlift. Well, maybe. You never know what could happen, right? So I'd have to bring my squat up to about 170. I'd have to bench at least 90 plus, and I'd have to bring my deadlift over 190, which I could do. When I was 57, I was squatting 160 quite easily. But I just have to get that momentum back and, believe in it.
That's the biggest thing, right? Is like building that momentum. No matter how you feel or where you're at the moment, like you've still done all that work in between, right?
Yeah.
Once you can capitalize on the training periods, good blocks, get that momentum. You never know what's going to happen by the time you get overseas, get to Malta.
Exactly. And I know that when I'm in competition, I know what to do. So I can actually go above anything I've done in training, which is at nationals. I only had, leading up to nationals, I had one good deadlift session, and that was a 170 pull. And everything else had been close to 170 was an absolute max. So when I got to comp, my lifts were ugly. Like, I'm not going to say they were my nicest work, but I pulled 186 and there was more there. So
yeah,
shit, I think that's a huge jump.
Yeah. Do you remember when I crushed my thumb and I'd had 4 weeks training? I went to nationals and I had to change my grip and everything. And that Robert said to me, if you go 186, you'll get the national record for 52s. So I went, why not? Because I'd already won and I pulled it. So I was like, that taught me a really good lesson. Like that was a big psych up there.
Yeah, you're capable of much more than what you think sometimes.
Yeah.
It's crazy going from
not always,
6 comps a year to being able to perform under pressure and having a crushed thumb, pulling a massive deadlift.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't recommend that for people, but it was really good practice. I wasn't peaking all the time too. And at that stage, there was no one close to me in 52. So I could go and just chip records when I wanted to. That was when you could do records at any meet.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So that was fun. And also it was like I'd get to see all my friends as well whenever I competed, which is good.
Yeah. Has your mentality changed, like when you're competing versus yourself versus competing against others?
Yeah. That is definitely something that I found tricky at Worlds. So when I was competing at nationals, I saw the people that were closest to me and they were watching me lift and watching to see if I got a lift and watching the scoreboard. And if I can recommend, don't do that. Like, just go in and focus on your next lift, because otherwise I could see from videos people looking disappointed every time I got a lift. And that disappointment is not going to help your next lift, And I did that at Worlds. I was watching the scoreboard because it was so close. And that was detrimental to my performance. Like, for me, I just need to go in and focus on doing my best possible lift.
Yeah, as a coach, I tell all my athletes to go away, like leave the scoreboard up to me. I'll sort that. You just got to do what I put on the sheet for you. You just do your job, right? Go away.
Yeah. And it makes it very simple. Then you just go in, you lift up the weight,
Yeah, exactly.
Don't worry what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, whoever's handling you is going to putting you in the best position. I think that's a good thing because I do see a lot of athletes doing that. They're staring at the fucking scoreboard, they're looking at things, trying to work out, and you're just taking everything away from your own mindset and your own mentality of focusing on just doing your job. I think I can admit that was a bit of an issue for me at nationals because the 66 kilos were at the same time. Like, I had Danny competing and Andrew competing, against Yuki, and I was paying attention to that, which obviously nationals was not a good performance for me, but because I was paying attention to that and working things out in my head, I didn't have as much time as usual to just stay in my zone in that flow. I just lose it. I have to try and refine it. I think that just burnt me out by the time I even got past squatting, which was the one that was going to be the hardest.
So what are you going to do to change that at Worlds then?
I won't have competition on at the same time where my own athletes are competing.
Yeah. And maybe, it's hard though, isn't it? Because it's so emotional coaching. I think it's worse.
Yeah, that was just the coaching coming out in me was I care so much about, I was fine. I knew that I'd already won. So I was sweet in that aspect, but I care so much about what my own athletes were doing that I trusted the people looking after them, obviously, but I was still going to be paying attention because I can't not.
Yeah.
Do
I've
do
had
you feel like
I've
you'll
had a
have
meet,
that? Oh, sorry, you go, Liz.
just like I've had a meet where I've won with only 3 lifts from 9, and it's fine. You're like, yeah, I won, but I don't feel satisfied with that. Hey,
Not at
You're like,
all.
I've got so much more to show you people, you know.
Yeah, no, not at all. Let me get
Yeah.
healthy.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're gonna go through that for yourself, Steve, when you go Worlds, rather than as a coach, like, you know, you're gonna be going head to head against people that are stronger than, you know, Australia. So will you have that going into Worlds?
I can't wait, man. Like this is good. This is what I want. It's what I thrive off. I thrive off competition, right? Chasing people, hopefully not getting mentioned, being a part of any sort of battle. So then I could just come in, just coast in as an underdog and to just show everyone what I'm capable of.
It's so much better when nobody knows you, you know?
Yeah.
Because
that's how I want it to be.
if everyone knows you, you're trying to warm up and everyone has to come and talk to you. And like I put on my headphones now, even without any music, just so that people don't, like, not because I want to be rude, but because I need to focus on what I'm doing, you know?
There's someone else in this chat that likes to do that.
I love that.
Yeah.
The second you said that, I was like, oh, I'm not alone. I love doing that. It's just something about it. Feels good. Feels good to have headphones on, no music.
That's me.
It does.
Don't talk
That's
to me.
me.
You know, I don't use music at all anymore because I used to have this full-on music and then I'd take my headphones off and I was in a totally different place. So that it was much better for me to be hearing the sounds of the comp. So I was always in the comp.
Yep.
Yeah. I except for deadlifts. I gotta say I put on some dirty metal music on for my deadlifts. Yeah, so with how many athletes do you have going to Worlds?
Oh, I haven't counted actually.
You're gonna
I'm
have
not
to be
sure.
careful with that, aren't you?
Yeah, I know that the only person that will be competing before me will be Vicky, and it just so happens to be the only other Australian that's going to be, you know, a potential podium. Besides like yourself, that will have to help. So that's going to
Big
be
one.
rough, but you know, it is what it is. I should be able to recover from that the day after. You know, depending where we end up, how emotionally taxing it is, because it is very emotionally draining whether she will win or lose. As long as we, you know, just do the best performance that we can, or put the best performance forward.
That's the hardest thing about being a coach and an athlete is coaching your athletes and competing, isn't it?
Yeah, especially at a high stakes meet like that. Good thing I won't be competing at the exact same time, because that would make it really hard. But also, I've got people around me that I trust to help out.
Yeah, that's good.
How are you with that, Liz? Because you have a roster yourself. Like, how do you go about separating being a coach and a high level athlete?
Oh, I'm kind of lucky too because I'm a lightweight, so I go first. But at nationals, I was on every single session. That was tiring, and you know, some people go really well, and that's great. We're all excited, and then some people don't have the best comp, and you feel like you've let them down, and they feel like they've let you down, and that's hard. But you learn the most from those meets. Like Steven's learned a lot from his. Even though you won, you're gonna have learned a lot.
Yeah, I'm glad that happened at nationals and not at worlds, right?
Yeah. And Sam, you had that redemption meet.
Yeah,
You got
yeah.
Feels good.
Had a year of thinking about missing that record the year before, and then missing a lot of third deadlifts, and then, you know, not being able to get the total that a third deadlift can get you. You know, when you go for 9 for 9 or 8 for 9. So it felt really good to knock that off as like a, you know, rite of passage almost to move past that, and then now push for more. Yeah, for sure.
So why do you think you were missing your third deadlifts?
Just a bit of programming stuff. Like Kel and I, you know, we're kind of still working out the big boy taper, you know, how I can kind of come into the day, be able to squat, bench, and still be able to pull a dead.
It's hard, isn't it?
Nationals last year was very much, I was probably just chasing that third deadlift too hard and came in a bit cooked. I think I pulled like a 337 like 10 days out, whereas now my last deadlift is like 19, 20 days out. So like,
Oh yeah, wow.
the
I wouldn't be able to lift anything.
it's so different. So like, we just come to know my body a lot more, and like how I taper and how much I should push. States, I dropped to the 340. Had no fucking chalk on my hands. I didn't say that in my comp reposts and stuff, but I should have held on to that. That sucked.
You're like, what am I, a rookie?
Yeah, I remember like walking out, and I have this habit of like just wiping my hands like before a deadlift. You'll see it in my one from nationals this year. I like just clap my hands, and I remember clapping my hands before the 340 at States, and I looked down and going, oh fuck, I've got no chalk on my hands.
Oh no.
And it was just too late, so I just walked up to the bar and had a crack. But yeah, finally passed that.
It's good.
Mm.
You know, and that'll, yeah. So then you'll start believing in your third deadlift now.
Yeah, for sure. There's no more like bad juju around that at all.
Yeah.
Make sure your
Hey
hands are
Danny,
chalk.
what have you learnt, Danny?
Oh, I had a lot to learn. Got to lift to standard. I remember after nationals, you posted up like, if you're not squatting to depth in training, you can't expect to do the same thing in comp. And I had to apply that exact same mentality to all three of my lifts.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
you were one of the first.
it was close, right?
Out.
I thought you should have got one of those at least.
Oh well, it is.
But we don't like making excuses.
Exactly. You were one of the first to actually reach out, which was it was really encouraging. Like me personally, I was in a bad space after comp, naturally as you would, and I was like, oh man, Liz Craven's also bombed out. Okay. But like, we don't make excuses. We got to get better. But it was something that I really noticed. That was a really good thing that you did, was like continue to provide encouragement and let people know that you can get through it, right? Because eventually, if we want to get to the top, we just got to stay in the sport.
That's true. I was so down after I bombed a comp because it was all technical issues, not strength. And I was like, why am I even doing this? This is ridiculous, And well, I learned lots of lessons though, like don't go up after your first deadlift. That was, if you don't get it. I mean, sometimes you have to. Like, I know you were chasing a total.
Me?
So if you didn't get it,
I wanted to win. Yeah, I wanted to win.
Yeah.
When in the back room, I was like, all right, I'm ready to die on my sword. If I'm gonna make or miss an attempt, I want to die on my sword, and I don't care what the outcome is. I just know I need to hit this, so I'm gonna put it on the board.
Yeah.
Yeah. How have you matured as a lifter? It took time for you to learn that. But has things changed?
Yeah. I mean, I was a bit of a brat back in the day because I wouldn't listen to anyone because I was getting stronger than everyone. And people were saying, if you do this, you're going to get injured. And I was like, I'm lifting more than you. But then I got injured. So then I had to learn the hard way. Not always, but I think something you've always got to remember is like, I've got to remember where I started, where I didn't know anything. And I've got to remember everyone's the same. It's a hard sport because the training is boring, and you're often doing it by yourself. Well, I am. And it's only fun when you start lifting heavy. So you've just got to suck it up and just keep doing the boring stuff. I used to love, JP always wrote, boring matters. You've got to get all that stuff done. You can't expect it to be exciting all the time, but you know what's worth it? When you get all your lifts on the platform, that's all that work. You've proved to yourself that if you work hard, you can achieve that, If
you work hard and it's boring.
Yeah. It's not boring on the platform, is it?
Nah, it's not. It's not. It is
We know
very
it's
hard.
fun.
I can relate as well because it is. It's only exciting. It's only fun. We only get like, oh, look forward to training when it starts to get heavy. But it's finding that, that motivation to be able to just like, or not motivation, I guess it's discipline, right? To be able to just go in and do the work no matter what and still train as hard as we can.
Yeah.
Even when it is boring and you're doing nothing really spectacular, we can still put our best foot forward and train as hard as we possibly can, no matter where we are out from competition or no matter what the load is on the bar.
Because that boring part, that's where you're laying down the foundation. So if you don't do all your 6s and 5s and all your reps, then you're just waiting for the 3s and the 2s and the fun heavy ones, By the time you get there, the cracks will be wide open.
Yep.
Yeah.
They won't be as heavy as you wanted them to be, or you thought they were going to be, because you didn't go as hard as you could have done when you were doing them originally.
Yeah. I used to always say there's no off season. You just keep working,
There isn't. There is no
No.
off season in powerlifting. It's like one of the only sports in the world where we don't have an actual off season, right? Our whole goal, no matter what, all the time, is just to get stronger and get better.
Yeah. And your year is divided into like 16 weeks, 12 weeks. Seems to make it go so fast, doesn't it?
It does. Malta's going to come up really fast.
It is. Oh my God. It'll be fun though.
We have
It'll be
like
fun.
some comps we're running here at Perth on like February and March, and like coaching, they're going to come around really quick, 12 to 16 weeks away. And then after that, April, May, June, it's fucking time to get on the plane. It's crazy.
It's on. Are you going, Sam?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be
Is
going.
everybody that one going? Do you know?
Pretty
Not
sure.
Stephen Day.
Oh, yeah.
Not Stephen Day.
Stephen Day's going.
Yeah.
Stephen Day will be there.
You're like, what?
59 kilo Stephen Day. He didn't hit the qualifying total.
Okay, yeah.
But from what I've heard, everyone else, that one's definitely going.
That means there'll be an extra spot on the men's team.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, up till then, we'll be just ticking boxes. I mean, like coaching wise, we got to take care of that. But I mean, for yourself, have you mentally prepared for Worlds as well, Liz? Like, you mentioned very early in the podcast, less alcohol, making sure your nutrition's in check.
I'm not an alcoholic, I promise.
Have those things started coming up to mind as of late?
Yeah, I've started sorting it out. I've started clearing out my timetable a bit so I have more rest, and sorting out my food, and I'm hardly having any wine, which is sad, but like I said, it's more important to lift heavy on the podium. That's more exciting than having a glass of wine on the podium. No, maybe on the platform.
There'll always be a glass of wine waiting in the fridge, but there won't always be
right.
the World Championships,
That's right. And you guys, for you, it's your career is starting, and for me, I don't have much further to go. So I've got to kind of look at what I can conserve. I'm not going to say that I'm giving up. Like I've said that this could be my last Open Worlds. I don't know. If I get some momentum next year, maybe I could do another one. I don't know. But I should be in Masters, really, but I don't want to.
I was going to say, do the Masters like championships entice you at all? Or is it purely you just want to be hanging with the Opens until you?
It would be, it sounds rude, but I could just win too easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe in a couple of years when all the people I used to compete with will be there. I think the one this year was better than usual because it was near America, so lots of the American lifters were there.
Well, yeah, you saw like Lane Norton. He had like his big kind of comeback world meet. Yeah,
he had a good
injuries and then come back and do the Masters Worlds, and it seemed like he got a lot of it just from what he's been posting.
Yeah, and it's not that I no disrespect to Masters. It's just not, the level isn't up there yet, but it will be when my generation are in there, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because when I started lifting, no junior could come close to me, and now the juniors are stronger than the Opens often. In the girls anyway,
Yeah, this generation of juniors get another 3-4 years in their belt, and then there it opens. Like it's crazy.
It will, because the juniors used to just come in for 1 year and then leave, but now they're staying with it.
Yeah.
So it's a different world. Like it wasn't that hard to win a juniors world or or masters world. Now masters worlds is probably the easiest. Maybe I should go get it.
You've paved the way for that, though. I mean, 10 years of powerlifting, and it just shows, like, if you stick with it, you can be the GOAT.
You can. And, I just want to say that if you want to beat me, you've got to win nationals 8 times, and then only then can you beat me. Hear me, Steve? I was Australia's #1 lifter on points for male or female for 7 years running. So that was like, you've got to do that too. Okay, Steve?
Okay. Okay.
I'll see you in 8 years.
Start, Danny.
That's crazy. Yeah. I
Um,
think that.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'll do it. I was going to ask, do you have a plan to compete before Worlds again? Just to kind of recalibrate yourself in a sense?
I do need a bit more comp practice, because the last 2 years I'm a bit out of practice, I'd feel. I don't know if I'd peak it that hard, but I wouldn't mind seeing what I could do. Once again, momentum is most important. And then I am meant to be competing in 2 weeks, but we'll see how that goes, just for fun, because some of my lifters are doing it. But it might be better if I just coach them.
Yeah,
because it's feeling rubbish. But it felt rubbish just before nationals, so you just never know.
Just got to get momentum.
Yeah. And you, Steve?
Yeah, definitely. I want to do a little meet in between. I just have to see how the calendar lines up.
Oh yeah. And what about you, Danny? You going to get your redemption?
Yeah, I think I'll be competing up next year at Perth, actually. Go to see Steve and the boys. So it'll be good.
Yeah, Kelly told me about that comp in March or something, February, March.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, in March.
That could be fun.
I hope so. It's on fucking podcast now.
I got to show up.
I'll just turn up, do our maxes. We'll max out.
So much for momentum, huh?
That's it. You're much more sensible than us, aren't you, Danny?
Oh, who knows? I don't know.
Is it wild?
I mean, I learned from Steve, so he tells me I push, we push every single time.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. There's sometimes when Danny doesn't want to push, I got to tell him to push, and there's sometimes when he's pushing and we didn't really need to push.
Yeah.
I'll push.
Well, you told me 2 weeks ago to push.
What'd you say, Sam? You have to recover for 2 weeks after pushing hard?
I'll push. I'm fucking asleep for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I got a short little window where I can step on the gas.
That's kind of, so you just kind of keep it at around RP7 for a while, and then.
Yeah, so like a lot of 6s, 7s, and then like I don't really go over at 8, to be honest with you. So like this week, I hit that deadlift double at about 7. I'll do a big squat triple this Friday at about 8, and then I'll be fucking tired next week.
Yeah, because 8's still heavy.
Yeah, so a triple at 8, and then straight into the next block, intro week, and then just a slow build back up again.
There's no such thing as RP6. I don't know why people keep talking about it.
Yeah, why is it? A client said to me the other day, why is the scale 1 to 10 if we only do 7s and 8s? He was basically saying he wanted to max out his bench.
Yeah. Well, that's right.
I thought that was a funny way to think about it.
Yeah. 7s, yeah. 7s I can do. 6s I find hard. It's like a warm-up.
Essentially is.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Liz. Now I feel like I'm not training hard enough.
That's right. Go back. You better train harder. Do what I did, where you did like 4 competitions a week, every week for like 5 weeks in a row, and then deload. And
then just fucking blow up.
See what happens.
Yeah.
If it gets
So
to
you're
your
go-
level, Liz, we got to do it.
Well, I'm also a lot smaller than Sam, though. Hey, and lifting a lot less. But everything it depends on the individual, doesn't it?
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure. But yeah.
Yeah.
Any other closing remarks, guys?
No, I think we've covered everything, to be honest.
Yeah, we
think-
appreciate you having you on, Liz.
Liz
It's
resume
been-
speaks for itself, right? There's nothing else that we got to cover. She's done everything. Where everyone's trying to chase her, even me. I'm fucking trying.
8
We're
years.
just getting
I'll see you in
started as
8
well.
years. I think
Yeah,
you'll do it, Steve. You'll do it.
I'm not going anywhere, that's for sure. But 2030 is a
believe in
long
you.
time away.
Maybe
That's not to
Sam will
say that
beat you
you're going to
next year.
extend it as well.
Probably Brisbane
Oh,
Olympics by the time you do another 7-8 years in a row.
Yeah.
I
Do
mean,
you reckon we'll get to the Olympics?
maybe, but you're also
I've
telling me 8 years right now, Liz. But I think you'll probably still be here in 8 years.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, like
We'll see.
right
We'll
now
see.
it's 8 years, but in 8 years it's going to be more.
Oh, God, I feel tired.
For sure.
Yeah, well, it'll be fun. I'll see like 2 of you in Malta, or maybe I'll see you all at Perth.
I'll be
Well,
at
well,
Malta as well.
Are you going to
I'll be-
Malta?
I'll be assistant coaching. Oh, I'll try
Oh,
to.
good. Oh,
I'll be
good.
there for everyone. So if I get a hand with you as well, it'll be a pleasure.
Yes, come definitely, please.
We go Malta.
We go Malta.
We go
Yeah.
Malta.
And then we
I actually can't believe I actually am going to Malta after I was like almost pulled out, and then I'm like, okay, so I actually am going to Malta. This will be interesting. First time since 2017 since we got kicked out.
think of all the wines
Yeah.
you can by the beach after the comp, please.
Oh yeah, there's going to be wine.
Wine and cheese on the beach in Malta.
It's going to be good.
Yeah.
The Aussies
Holiday
know how to party.
destination.
Just don't hang out with the Irish team because bad thing it turns bad.
Yeah,
As in a
I've
good
heard
way.
that. All the
Yeah, I
Irish
know.
drinkers don't know how to drink.
Steve, you don't drink, do you?
Not occasionally, but not really.
No. What about you, Sam?
I pick my nights.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'll be a Christmas party, but then that'll be it until June next year.
That's good. And Danny?
Yeah, barely. I like playing catch up, so I don't drink much.
Yeah,
But yeah.
fair enough.
All right. It's a
Well,
pleasure
might be
having you,
different. We'll see how we
Liz.
perform.
I believe that covers it. We'll wrap it up here, yeah?
Cool.
All right.
Sweet.
Thanks,
Thank you
guys.
so much.